Hey guys, welcome to Did You Get That on Film? On this podcast, we deep dive into horror movies, and so it is full of explicit content as well as spoilers. Please be advised. Now, let's get to the show.
This is Did You Get That on Film? Where we discuss characters in terrible situations that we would never find ourselves in. I'm your host DP, and with me always is my co-host, someone who knows it's a very bad idea to babysit on Halloween night, my friend Ruth. Ruth, how you doing, girl? It's been a while since we recorded.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a brand new episode. I'm doing great, and it has been a while since we recorded, but I'm really excited to be here.
It's spooky season.
That's right, it's spooky season yet again. Obviously, our favorite time of the year.
The degrees went down too, and I was like, get my sweaters.
Dante, I pulled out boots like they owed me money. I could not wait. I love this season. I'm so glad that we've come back around another year. I'm not quite sure when this episode is going to come out, but I would just like to know that we're recording this in September. And I've seen people get really pissy online because, you know, us and everybody that we know are like, fuck yeah, like it's basically Halloween Eve. But people online are like, you guys get mad that they put out Christmas stuff early, but they're putting out Halloween stuff early. Isn't that like the same thing? And I'm like, no, not by a fucking long shot.
No, it's egregious. I was in Dillard's, and they have Christmas trees on. And that's crazy in my opinion. It was September 2nd.
Lunacy.
You skipped Thanksgiving.
And you know, my birthday is always around Thanksgiving, and I love food. I feel like Thanksgiving doesn't get enough play. That's our issue. Christmas skips Thanksgiving. Halloween isn't hurting anybody.
Christmas is a bully.
It is a bully, thank you. I am exhausted.
It's a bully that people just like let do whatever they want.
I guess people just really need something to hope for, to look forward to. I don't know. It's like people are celebrating Christmas earlier and earlier every year, which really sucks for us that are trying to hold on to spooky season as long as we possibly can.
I feel like from the day after Thanksgiving till New Year's Day, you should be able to do as much Christmas as you want. But before Halloween
Is
it's
crazy.
It's crazy to me.
Well, I love Halloween.
I love it too. It's very special to us.
Yep. Remember that year we went to that Halloween party and drank that spiked jungle juice? What a time. That was a time.
And the cops came, and our first and only thought was, we need to get some of this punch to go. So we emptied those bottles of Franzia.
Yes.
And we made to bring to the party and was scooping it out.
Wait, and then we cannot forget to mention that the jungle juice was in like a big tub outside, right?
What was wrong with us?
Wait, and then we went to the club and we decided, we were like, oh, we're not gonna go home. Like the trash people are gonna bring us home. But wait, when we left the club, remember as soon as we walked out, the trash people were out there. That was an amazing night. So I will always love Halloween.
That was like one of the best Halloweens I ever had.
Yes, a time was had.
But people are like, what the hell are you guys talking about? Because this is a movie podcast.
Wait, Dante, stop. I'm so sorry, y'all. I am so sorry. What the hell are we talking about today? I'm sitting here skipping down memory lane. Sorry. So the movie that we're discussing is going to be All Hallows Eve. Not sure if a ton of people are familiar with All Hallows Eve. It did not get a wide release. It didn't get a theatrical release at all. It was like a direct-to-video movie. It couldn't. So let's be real. This was made with $6 and some fucking putty. But it was released in 2013, and it was written and directed and edited by your boy Damien Leone. So this was actually his feature film directorial debut. In case y'all are wondering, Damien Leone, that sounds so familiar, although I'm sure he's kind of a household name at this point. Damien Leone is obviously the creator, writer, director, editor, fucking, I don't know, janitor on set of the Terrifier movies.
He do craft services as well.
Sure does. His wife makes sandwiches for the crew. And we're not just saying any of that to shit on Damien Leone. Love Damien Leone. I think that he is great, brilliant. I think that he's very, very good at his craft. But these movies, which we'll see with this particular one, especially like this one and Terrifier 1, are made with a shoestring budget is too generous. I think a dental floss budget is more like it.
And 3 Tic Tacs.
Exactly. But that makes it even more impressive because I know that I couldn't do this with $8. And Damien Leone took those $8 and turned it into something spectacular to see. You know, he did a lot, especially when we get to like Terrifier 1, very, very much with very, very little. So I definitely respect it. So All Hallows Eve it's a horror anthology film. So this film it's presented as a series of shorts, so it's going to be very similar to the episode that we did on like Tales from the Hood, which is another kind of horror anthology movie. And it incorporates footage from two different short films. So the first is a short film from 2008 that Damien Leone did called The Ninth Circle. And then another short film that he made in 2011 called Terrifier, both of which feature I mean, larger than life character now at this point. Everybody knows this character, Art the Clown. All Hallows Eve is not technically a prequel to Terrifier, but the character Art the Clown is heavily featured in this anthology. Art would, as we know, go on to star as the main character in the Terrifier franchise. So the Terrifier franchise, I guess, would kind of be considered like a spin-off.
Yeah, it's more of a spin-off than this being a prequel.
Yes. So the Terrifier movies are a spinoff. You have this movie. This movie, All Hallows Eve, though, actually does have there's a standalone anthology sequel called All Hallows Eve 2 that came out in 2015. And it features 9 different segments by 9 different directors, but none of those are Damien Leone. He did not direct any of that movie, but he is one of the producers on that. There is also, I found this when I was looking just like kind of at the last minute. There's also an All Hallows Eve Trickster that came out in 2023.
What's Trickster?
I don't know. It's just like All Hallows Eve Trickster. I'm sorry, it's All Hallows Eve Trickster. Like Hell House LLC Carmichael Manor.
Oh, it's another movie. I thought Trickster was like an app or something.
No, no, it's another movie. So I think it is like a sequel to All Hallows Eve 2. Although I could not find a lot of information on this. I've never seen it, and I'm going to be very real with y'all. I'd never heard of it.
You know, I didn't hear of it. I just told you.
You thought it was an app. But yeah, no. So that is something that also exists. Came out in 2023. I think you might be able to find it on Tubi. If anybody is interested, I cannot vouch for it. We have covered the spin-off movies Terrifier 1. So we did that episode 4. So that came out on October 24th, 2023, if you guys want to check that out. And then also Terrifier 2, we also covered that movie in episode 8, which came out on November 21st, 2023. Terrifier 3 is set to come out this year on October 11th, 2024. So I'm not quite sure if it'll come out before or after you guys are hearing this, but Terrifier 3 will be coming out very soon, and I heard it is very, very gory. That is all that I had to say for the opening. Was there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, not at all.
All right, well, let's just jump right into it. The movie opens with two kids. So you have Tia and Timmy, and they are kind of half ass watching Night of the Living Dead, George A. Romero's movie, when their babysitter Sarah comes in to tell them that it's time to carve pumpkins because this is all taking place on Halloween night. So that's when Timmy, who is binge eating his Halloween candy, he empties the candy sack to find that there is an unmarked VHS tape inside. Some unknown person, when he was out trick or treating, put this tape in his bag. The kids are very insistent on watching it. Sarah is kind of objecting to this because God knows what is on this tape. People are freaks.
It could be a snuff film or it could be a stuff film.
I hate that you said that. I hate it. I'm disgusted. But you're right. Who knows what's on this film? But he's right. It could be fucking anything. Literally. So finally, Sarah relents, which I was like, damn.
I just didn't understand, like, was the note just like, y'all should be the worst children ever?
Dante, it had to be the brattiest, annoyingest children ever in film. Yes, these kids are annoying as fuck. But I'm like, Sarah's not doing a good job at, I don't know, being the adult in this situation because there's no fucking reason that these kids should watch this movie.
I would have broke it.
Right.
And the sister's like, you can slap him. I won't tell.
I won't tell.
And it's like, so you ain't got no loyalty to your brother? The parents failed.
Failed. Because y'all suck. But, alright. We'll have enough time to talk about them as we go on. But Sarah finally relents. But she says that the kids need to leave the room so she can see what's on the tape first. And then she'll decide if they can watch it. Which, okay. So when she plays the tape, so she pops it in the VCR. At first, it's nothing but static until finally a picture appears. It's some footage taken, I guess, like an abandoned hospital area. I don't know, some abandoned area that Damien Leone could afford to film in. And while she's watching it, there's this like persistent metal on metal banging sound as the camera is panning around until finally we see Art the Clown and a couple of other scary creatures. Then the tape cuts to a woman. It's Casey. She is sitting alone in what is supposed to be a train station. And I say that because it's as much of a train station as Damien Leone's budget would allow, because it's, I don't know.
Obviously a waiting room.
Yes, it's not a train station, but that's what it's supposed to be. That's what the sign says. So she's trying to read when a very drunk couple stumbles in and asks her what time the train's coming. Apparently, the train will be there in just 10 short minutes. So she only has 10 minutes to wait here. So the couple, drunk, they wish her a happy Halloween, and then they kind of fuck off to go find a cigarette.
They closed the door, though. That was what was weird.
It's weird because it's not really a train station. I don't want people to think that I'm trying to shit on Damien Leone. What I'm saying is, it's obviously like
make believe.
It's yeah. You have to use your imagination, and you just have to accept that things are what they're telling you they are. Because there's no way that this is a train station. It's clearly not an area that was made for like public.
It's a doctor's
use.
office. You guys know what I'm talking about when you go to the doctor. You're not going to like a hospital. You're going to like a doctor's office, and you go on the second floor, and there's four different offices, and you open the door, and there's like the
little reception area,
and then you close it because now you're back in the hallway. That's exactly what it looks like. So you have to really, you have to put on your make believe cap and really stretch your imagination
to believe that this is a train station.
Because the minute you take your cap off, you're like, wait.
This is no damn train station. But that's a thing. There aren't even any windows in here because, like you said, It's like a second floor doctor's reception office. There aren't even any windows, so it's like you can't even see the train arrive. I know that the budget was tight, but like that's why you're like, well, they're closing that door. That's weird. Well, it's weird because if he didn't close the door, you would see out into the hallway where the other doctor's offices are.
Right.
So that's why they have to close this door and leave her in this like tight room. But right, they do close the door. She's in here by herself. So that's when Casey gets up and she goes to use the bathroom. But when she comes back out, she notices that there's now someone else in the train station. It's a clown in a black and white costume with a little hat and some black and white face paint. It is, of course, anybody that knows anything about these movies, it is Art the Clown. Now, remember, these are some of the very first iterations of Art the Clown. So, this particular art doesn't quite look like the art that we're used to seeing, but that is who it is. He is sitting on a bench directly across from Casey, just staring and smiling the way that Art does. Casey is visibly uncomfortable, and it's only made worse when Art pulls out a bike horn out of this black plastic bag that he's carrying around, and he starts honking it over and over and over and over again, very Art like. When she asks him to please stop, Art gets up to sit next to her now.
Dummy.
That's Dante. I don't know if I would have said anything to him because it seems like when you acknowledge him, he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill this bitch. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just wouldn't say anything to him, but she does, and he was like waiting for that. So now he gets up, sits next to her. So she's doing her best to ignore him, but he's really buffooning next to her. And he ends up handing her a fake flower, which she takes. And then he starts silently laughing hysterically and pointing. We talked about this in our Terrifier episode. For anybody that's seen this movie, Art the Clown is a silent clown. He never makes any noise, no laughter, no like exclamations in pain when he's running,
No
sweating,
heavy breathing.
jumping. He doesn't do any of that. You'll never hear a peep from this man. So when we say things like like giddily laughing, laughing hysterically, heartily laughing, he is doing those things, but all of these things are silent. It's like miming these motions. So he's laughing, and so when Casey looks down at the flower to inspect it to see like what the hell is he laughing at, she notices that there's a big cockroach in the middle. So of course she drops the flower, starts screaming, and at this point she tries to run away, but she tries to run away in front of Art. That was a bad idea because he of course grabs her arm, injects the shit out of her, and she's trying to pull away, she can't get away. And at this point, he's not smiling anymore. He has a look on his face that's like, if looks could kill, she would be dead as hell. So now at this point, he is very serious. And she's trying to pull away from him, and she's screaming at this point, screaming for help. But these two people that came in here are,
Gone.
I mean, God knows where. So nobody's coming to help her. And Art pulls out his gorilla sized syringe and he injects her with God knows what. Now she's passing out. And as she's passing out, she gets one last look at Art, who is maniacally smiling yet again. And he's waving. And this I thought was very interesting because I watched All Hallows Eve in 2016. So it's like damn near 10 years ago. I totally forgot everything about All Hallows Eve, like for the most part. I just kind of remembered like the general story of it. I thought this was very interesting for anybody that's seen Terrifier 2, and we talk about it in that episode. His eyes are shining in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Like flashlight shining. And I thought that was really interesting because they do that in Terrifier 2, like the little pale girl, her eyes shine. And I think we were kind of like, where did that come from? Like, what is that? And I was like, oh, that I totally forgot he did that in All Hallows Eve too.
Yes, I forgot all about what happens in this because it kind of connects.
Yes. I was like, oh, interesting. So he brings it back. And there's a lot of things in this anthology a lot of like Art's behavior, that gorilla syringe, the flashlight eyes, like there's a lot of things that he brings back in the Terrifier movies.
Mhm.
But I digress. So when Casey comes to, she's in a dark tunnel underneath this train station. Quotes.
Parking garage.
It's definitely
She in the parking garage now.
Dudley stop. But the funny thing is, they got I don't want to laugh. They got a train station like soundboard. I don't know if you noticed that they keep playing a train throughout the whole scene, and it's like, you know damn well there's no train around here.
Y'all so fake.
There's no train up there. But okay, so she's in this dark tunnel underneath the quote unquote train station, and she has this huge collar and metal chain around her neck. So she's in the darkness, she's trying to scream for help when out of this darkness appears two more women, Kristen and Sarah. These two women are also collared and chained. Kristen comes up and she basically tells Casey to shut the hell up because Casey's being very fucking loud right now. She's screaming. And Kristen and Sarah, they are trying to be as quiet as they can in order to not draw Art's attention. So Kristen tells Casey that there used to be three of them, but the third woman was dragged away down this long tunnel that they're in by the chain on her neck, never to be seen again. So they're pretty sure that this woman was killed. So Casey asks these two chained and terrified women why they're just standing there instead of trying to escape. And Chris is like, bitch. She's like, don't you think we've tried to escape? There's no way out of here. It's just one long tunnel, and we're chained by the collar. Casey just starts vomiting because she is extremely upset, which is fair. Y'all are in a really fucked up situation right now. So that's when Sarah comes over and she is trying to do her best to comfort Casey. Casey just keeps saying that they're gonna die in this tunnel, they're gonna die in this tunnel. And Kristen, who doesn't she's not very partial to Casey anyway, she's like, bitch, shut the hell up. She's like, don't you think that we know that? Like, we don't need you saying this right now. But Sarah is the much more compassionate of the two, and she's really trying to just keep everyone as calm as they can possibly be in this situation. And so she's telling Kristen, like, we cannot afford to fall apart right now. We are all that we've got. So let's stick together. I know, exhausting. But Kristen is doing the complete opposite of staying calm. She doesn't even try. The thought of staying calm never crosses her mind. She's freaking out, and so Casey's also freaking out, and she's trying to propose that they find a way out. She's like, we need to venture down this tunnel, essentially where Art is, to see if they can find a way out. And Chris is like, have you lost your damn mind? What the hell are you talking about right now? Kristen says they tried saving that other woman when she was getting dragged away by her throat, and Art just yanked her out of both of their hands. So she's like, he's obviously very strong. And she's like, I don't think that we're strong enough to do anything. But additionally, she's like, we don't even know if it is just Art at the end of that tunnel. She's like, there could be a whole gang of people down there. But Casey is like over it. And she's like, well, what the hell do you suggest we do? And this is where it's like, I'm kind of like, I get what Kristen's saying. She's scared. You don't know what's there. This is all very, alarming. I get it wanting to like just kind of close your eyes and this all to go away, but that's not realistic. Kristen's whole plan is to just sit and wait and I guess pray and hope that somebody finds them in this desolate tunnel underneath this desolate quote unquote train station. And so that just kind of sounds crazy. Like Kristen didn't really bring anything. Like if you're going to try to shit on somebody's suggestion, you need to come to the table with something. She has nothing. So obviously, Art will inevitably pick y'all off one by one if you just sit here. So Sarah, understanding this, is siding with Casey, and Kristen is hysterical about it because she does not want Sarah to leave her there. Obviously, she's not going with them. And so she's just begging her, please don't leave me here. Sarah is staying very calm and she's doing her best to reason with Kristen when out of nowhere, Sarah's chain gets yanked. And now she is the one being pulled down the tunnel out of sight. I know Casey is like, I wish that it had been Kristen. Because what the fuck?
She probably was like, I wish they would take me.
No, she probably is because when they were chained up there comes a point where Casey's like, well, why is he just leaving us down here? Can't he just kill us now? And I was like, girl, that's real. Don't torture me. Keep me 6 hours without a meal. Kill me right now. So now they're both hysterical, which is fair.
Yes.
Because this is what the hell is going on right now. But Casey pulls herself together and she grabs Kristen and she's like, look, bitch. She's like, I have a family. I'm not staying here. And she's like, I know you're scared, but we need to get the hell out of here. Think about it. And so Kristen finally, after much convincing, reluctantly agrees. So the women huddle together and they head down the tunnel, which is littered with human bones. And again, not trying to shit on him. I know that the budget was tight. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with this. But did you notice that those bones were plastic? It was 2 Spirit Halloween skeletons that were broken apart and the bones were littered about to give it the impression that it was like a lot of bones.
Very cheap, very plastic, very, very, very Halloween Resurrection.
Dante. I can't wait until we do that movie because I have a lot to say, but like that also was a dental floss budget. You can tell.
Because they had to give Jamie Lee Curtis all the money.
They paid Jamie Lee Curtis 87% of that movie's budget to be in that movie for those 15 minutes. And then they're like, all right, everybody else gets $6 each. And then the rest of the 20 is going towards production.
They was like, we ain't got it.
But that's the kind of set that Damien Leone is running too, because these are clearly plastic skeletons. And I was like, okay, girl, just don't focus on them too much. I was fighting for my life trying to not get pulled from like my suspension of disbelief because we're supposed to be under a train station and I know this is not a fucking train station. These are supposed to be skeletons. I know these are not fucking skeletons, but I was like, okay, just focus, stay with the story. I was trying my best to get scared. Okay, so they make it to the end of the tunnel where the ends of their chains are padlocked to a pipe. Casey grabs a large rock and she starts using it to try to break their chains, which is making an absurd amount of noise. That's when all of a sudden a super large, bloodied, like humanoid creature thing appears behind Kristen, tackles her to the ground before using a meat cleaver to chop off her hand. He then continues chopping at her, chopping until she is dead. And that is the first on-screen kill. He tries to attack Casey with the cleaver as well, but she is able to roll in enough time so that the cleaver hits the chain instead of hitting her. So now she's free. So she runs away down the tunnel and ends up running into what appears to be a homeless man pushing a cart. And she stops and starts begging him for help. Dante.
Okay. Oh my God. What was he supposed to do?
First of all, let's talk about that because when I say, I don't know if I'm explaining it well. It's a large humanoid creature. It's not like a tall guy. This thing is not human. It just has human like features. if that thing came over here, what the fuck is this guy supposed to do? First of all. Second of all, why would this guy be down here pushing a cart? Did you think about that at all?
He's not talking, and she is insistent on asking, like, help, help, help. Just go the other way because obviously he's coming from somewhere.
Yeah, girl, just keep moving. She stops running. She's like holding on to him. Now, this guy is the only thing that would give you the impression that this guy is like unhoused is that he's down here and has a cart. He is wearing like a cloak, and she is holding on to him, begging him for help, and he's literally just staring at her,
Saying nothing.
not a fucking word, with just like this smirk on his face. He's not even asking her what's wrong. I don't know. Like, girl, use some context clues and get the fuck out of here. Why do you think this guy is down here? Did it never cross your mind that this guy could be with the clown? I don't know. What you talking about?
Down with the clown.
That's exactly what he is. Because he's being so fucking unresponsive, when she glances down into the cart that he's pushing, she notices a severed hand in the cart.
So they went to Spirit and bought the stuff and kept the cart too.
Dante, yes. They were like, do what you gotta do. So they still have like shit in this car. There's severed hand, there's some other shit. And so she's scared now. When she looks back up, the guy, his face has turned from regular human guy face into a skull, and he grabs her, and now she's fucked.
She deserved it.
Dante, I don't want to victim blame, but that's the only thing. That's all we do on this show.
I don't want to victim blame with this episode. It's a new year. But
When I say, like, I don't understand, just keep running, girl. Move past him. Get out of here.
that is literally the like mantra of surviving. It says you never stop running.
Right. Dante, we're going to keep going because that is going to come up again. The stop running thing. Dante.
I got mad thinking about it.
I know, my chest gets tight, but we're going to get there. But yes, this girl should have remembered that. Just don't fucking stop running. She stops, she talks to this guy. Of course, he's a fucking skeleton man. So we then cut to Casey, who is at this point tied down, and she's surrounded by some ghoul-faced, robed.
Dr. Satan.
Yes, these are demons of a sort. And we know that because, so in this room as well, there is a pregnant woman who has her hands bound above her head. So she's kind of hanging there. The robed figures then surround her and they use a dagger to cut open her pregnant belly. They remove the baby and they collect all the blood that comes out in this chalice that they put under her, which they then give to their leader, who, surprise, surprise, is Satan. It's the devil, to drink. Then the pregnant woman dies, so that's the second on-screen kill. Now, I know that y'all are probably thinking, like we're thinking,
American healthcare.
But right. But yeah, so I know that y'all are probably thinking something very similar to what we were thinking is like, damn, this kind of went off the rails, right? Like it got far away from what we thought this was going to be.
It was going to be, right.
But yeah, so this is a group of demons and they give Satan this drink to make, and so we're in like a ritual. They turn their attention back to Casey, and it's very much in the same vein as Rosemary's Baby. They strip her naked, and Satan walks towards her with the intention of raping her. As he's about to do this, the events of the night quickly flash through Casey's mind, and we end with Art the Clown honking his horn at her before it cuts to black, and we cut back to babysitter Sarah and the kids, Tia and Timmy. And that's the end of the first vignette, the first short story. I appreciate the creativity of it, although it obviously does pull heavily on like a Rosemary's Baby type theme.
I thought more House of a Thousand Corpses.
No, I mean it's definitely giving House of a Thousand Corpses too, but it's the figures all around her. She's tied down, and Satan is coming to rape her in this
Oh yeah, that part.
ritual type thing. So I was like, it is a creative thing, you know. I guess like the premise is kind of creative, but I was like, at the end of the day, it's kind of like not that creative because we've seen like a story like this before. But it was okay.
I just didn't like that, and this is more about the wraparound story with Sarah. If you checking to see what the movie is, you need to fast forward to the whole thing and see what it is. That's how you check to see what the movie is. You
Dante,
don't just press play and then start watching it and then say, "Oh."
she watched the first 30 seconds, which is literally Casey sitting in this fake train station, and then
Which could be set for a stuff film.
exactly. And then the kids walk in and she's just like, "Oh, okay." Because they're like, "Oh, we've seen worse on the internet." I don't give a fuck.
She's like, "Ew, you're telling us what you watch on the internet. It doesn't matter. You ain't no kind of authority figure."
No, girl, let them do that on their parents' time and call it a fucking night. But no, they just watched this fucking movie because the kid was like, "Oh, well, if we can watch this tape, then we don't have to carve pumpkins." And I know she didn't want to carve those pumpkins anyway. So she's like, "Deal." And so now they're watching this tape. But like, girl, you just let these 10-year-olds watch a baby get cut out of a woman's stomach and then Satan rape a woman. Like, let's be fucking for real right now, Sarah. Like, do you think that you're doing a good job? I'm confused. So Tia and Sarah are kind of disgusted by what they just saw, rightfully so. That was crazy. But Timmy is eating it up, and Timmy is very much future psycho of America. This kid is strange, but he wants to keep watching, but Sarah says enough is enough, and she sends them to get ready for bed. So she's finally putting her foot down after they watched a baby get cut out of a woman's stomach. But okay, so Sarah then heads into the living room where she removes the VHS from the VCR and just starts to do some cleaning up. While she's doing that, she gets a call from a friend who's calling to make sure she isn't dead because, like her friend said, girl, babysitting on Halloween night, everybody knows that that's a surefire way to die. So Sarah's just laughing it off and she tells her friend about this VHS and how weird it is that some stranger put this unmarked tape in somebody's bag. So as they're discussing that, Tia and Timmy are being, I mean, real pieces of shit upstairs, just like bickering.
Tia's being so annoying though.
No, Tia's being excessively annoying. I already can't stand kids. And I think they told these kids to really ratchet up the annoying. Sarah has to break up whatever's happening here before going back to her friend, and she's like, "Girl, do you want to meet for a drink after this? Because I'm gonna need it." Her friend is like, "Yes, that sounds great." And I was like, I love Halloween. Because you could just go you could just go out at 11 o'clock and be like, "I want to get a drink." And people are out in Halloween's acting a fool because it's Halloween. So they set up a time and a place, and as Sarah's hanging up, her friend ends the call with, "Don't get killed." While all of this is happening, Sarah starts to hear some like knocking sounds on the patio window, and she's a little bit spooked. So she slowly walks over to check it out, but surprise, surprise, it turns out to just be kids egging the house, to which Sarah does not clean up because this is not my house. But upstairs, the kids are climbing into bed, and Sarah is going up to tell them good night. So she goes to Timmy's room first, but in Tia's room, Tia hears a noise coming from her closet, and she's trying to check it out when Sarah comes in to tell her to go to bed, kind of tuck her in. And so she doesn't actually get a chance to check the closet. As Tia is sitting in the bed, she asks Sarah if she thinks that the clown from the video could be real. Because after all, he wasn't like a vampire or a werewolf. He's just a guy in a clown suit. And anybody can do that. There are tons of serial killers. Sarah assures her that the clown in the video is just in the video. And if she doesn't watch it, then the clown can't scare her. Additionally, Sarah assures Tia that she wouldn't let anything happen to her anyway. And then, just to make Tia feel better, she leaves the lights on for her so that Tia can go to bed. So once all of that is done, Sarah heads back to the living room, but Tia doesn't stay in her room for very long. She's just too scared, and she opts to sleep in her brother's room because, safety in numbers. So downstairs, Sarah is drinking wine and watching Night of the Living Dead, but as she is, she just can't stop thinking about this VHS. She's really drawn to it. So that's when she decides to pop it back in and watch the second story. So now the second story begins. So this story opens with a woman who we will learn is Caroline, and she is unpacking in her brand new countryside home. She is on the phone with a friend named Mary, really gushing about how much quieter the country is compared to the city. And she's telling her how she thinks it'll be a great environment for her husband to work in. So, Caroline's husband, John, is a painter. And when Mary jokes that she'll need to buy a copy of one of his paintings before he blows up, Caroline just, she's kind of sarcastically telling her that she wishes that she would buy his latest painting just so she doesn't have to see it anymore, because it creeps her out so much so that she can't even be in the same room with it. So she keeps glancing over at it, but it's completely covered with a sheet, so we don't see the painting. When Mary asks her, like, what the hell is this a painting of? Caroline just tells her it's a painting of a face, a very creepy face. And Mary is confused because she's like, well, I didn't think that John painted stuff like that. I didn't think that it was his style. And Caroline confirms that it's not his style. He doesn't even remember painting it. John just told her that he woke up from a terrible nightmare one night with the image in his head, and then it's like he was in some sort of a trance when he was painting it. All of these things are red flags. Mary's like, that's kind of weird, but Caroline just chalks it up to the artistic method. So they kept the painting though, because apparently a gallery owner thinks that it has the potential to be one of his best sellers. So Mary and Caroline in this call with Mary promising to visit. And then Caroline heads to the kitchen to get some coffee when there is a weird kind of electrical short in the house. So there appears to be outside what Caroline thinks is like a meteor, small meteor crashing down near them. And so it's causing a lot of the electronics to really go haywire, including the lights in the house. One light explodes, all of the power goes out, and this, whatever this is outside, what Caroline is thinking is a meteor, it's kind of like this flashing light and a loud crash. So that's what's making her think that. So now Caroline has to grab a flashlight and find the fuse box in this house, which she does, but when she flips the fuses, nothing happens. The power is like out. So she's trying to call for help, but it's really all of the electronics that are messing up right now. So her phone is not really working either. It's doing very weird stuff. And just then she starts to hear some noises coming from upstairs. And she does the very smart thing in this situation. And she's like, fuck that. And she runs out of the house. She runs straight to her car, which is the absolute right thing to do, but when she gets in, the car will not start. At this point, Caroline is panicking.
Freaked out.
Absolutely. Because what the hell's going on? She's home alone. Her husband, John, is not there right now. Additionally, this house is supposed to be in a countryside. So I think that she's just kind of like in the woods type area, kind of away from anyone. She doesn't really know what to do. But she's trying to remain calm, and she's just trying to remind herself that all this is happening because of this meteor. So it's all going to be okay. That's when she notices a large pulsating light behind her, which scares her enough to run back into the house and lock the doors. Just then, her cell phone rings. It's her husband John letting her know that he's on the way home. And she is panicked at this point. So she's telling him that something landed by the house and she isn't sure what it is, but she's very scared. Which John believes, which I was surprised by. He doesn't really give her any pushback on that something landed. He's like, call the police. But then she tells him that she thinks that somebody is in the house. And while he can believe that something crash landed near the house, he does not believe that anyone is inside the house. He tells her that she's just like spooked because of what's happening. And I'm like, how the hell do you know?
Just leave. Get out the house.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. I guess that flashing light made her run in, but I'm like, just leave. Just go somewhere else. But I guess she's like, feels like she's in the middle of nowhere. But he's just trying to tell her to call the police. But while he's saying all of this, we as the audience can see that in the background, there's someone rising off the floor behind her, covered in a sheet. She doesn't notice this though. So John tells Caroline to call the police and then just call him right back. But she is very reluctant to do that because she's trying to explain to him, like, my phone was not working at all a minute ago. Like, none of the phones, the house phones, cell phones, they're not working until John called her. So her fear is that if she hangs up with him to try to call the police, she may not be able to get through the police, and then she may not be able to get back in touch with him either. So she'll be alone again. So John is trying to keep her calm, and he tells her that she should just drive away, just fucking leave. But that's when she reveals that the car is dead as well, and that there's just in general a lot of strange things happening right now. So John is trying to find out more, but the call starts going in and out, and John gets disconnected completely. So Caroline decides to grab a kitchen knife and walk around the house with her flashlight to survey everything and look for these intruders that she thinks are in the house. She ends up finding a discarded sheet in the foyer that she knows shouldn't be there. And so when she goes to investigate it, she hears some strange noises. And when she looks over, there's a big ass alien in a metal suit doing the Mom Funky Town dance. Dante, I know that we were saying that the other short story was random, but you couldn't have paid me $500,000 to guess what she was about to look up and see. It's not just that it's an alien. It's this alien fucking getting down on the dance floor. I'm like, what the hell is happening right now? Why was he moving like that?
Why did he? This was a choice. This was a choice.
This was a choice. Let's be very clear. Damien Leone was like, I want you to just pick what you're gonna do and fucking nail that shit. I don't care what it is. And this guy was like, bet. I'm gonna fucking do the robot.
Because are you supposed to be scared when this happens?
That's the thing. So he starts doing this, and she doesn't immediately run away. Like, she doesn't immediately like scream and run off. And I was like, girl, I don't blame you, because I would probably be like, do you want to dance off?
Dance battle?
Yes. What are you saying to me right now? But yeah, so this alien is here dancing in front of her, and she's kind of stunned. I may be putting a little bit on it when I'm saying that he's doing the robot, because I don't think that that's what he's trying to do, but he's moving very crazy. It's outlandish movements that are happening right now. And so she's just kind of like looking at him, and then that's when he lunges at her. He grabs her, and he's wearing a metal suit. So she has this kitchen knife, and when she tries to stab it, she cannot penetrate the metal suit. So the alien is holding on to Caroline, and he's trying to. He has something coming out of his palm. I don't know if he's trying to like stab her, but She's able to like wriggle free. She ends up kicking him in the head she gets some distance. So that's when she runs upstairs to a bathroom and she hides, and the alien's searching all over for her. Still fucking doing these crazy movements. But when he can't find her, he starts playing this insanely loud siren that he has, and it causes Caroline's nose to bleed, and she ends up screaming out in pain because it hurts so bad. That alerts the alien to exactly where she is in this bathroom. So he busts in and he ends up attacking her with this creepy tentacle thing that is coming out of his hand. And I don't know, he's trying to like put it in her mouth. I don't know what the goal is here.
A real stuff film.
Exactly. This is a fucking paranormal freak show. Well, she is obviously fighting this, as I would too, because I don't want this fucking thing near my mouth. And so she ends up unplugging this mask that he's wearing, because I assume that he has some sort of like this metal suit as protection. There's some sort of canister on his back. I think he's breathing something other than oxygen. I hate that I'm getting that deep into it because I feel like I'm putting a lot
Of thought,
of thought,
detail.
detail into something that Damien Leone absolutely did not put any thought or detail
Because
in.
this wasn't in the movie. You know what it's like when you go in the store and something on clearance. You're like, damn, I can't not get that. It's 90% off. That alien costume was on sale, and he was like, well, damn, I guess we could do something with it. I mean, it's only $4.
Yes. He was like, I really appreciate this only being $4 because we only have 10 to spend on the movie. So he's like, get it. We can make this work. Just do the robot. Nobody will think anything of it. This fucking suit is so silly. It just looks, y'all.
It's not scary at all.
Dante, I was like, I've never been less scared in my entire life.
I was taken out of the movie by this point.
This is tough. I'm not gonna lie. So this story is tough. I would have preferred it be, I mean, almost anything. I would have preferred it be like a fucking bear to an alien. It looks so ridiculous that it's hard to feel like there are any stakes with Caroline. I don't feel very scared. This doesn't feel like a high pressure situation because it's clearly a dude in a costume who's like drunk, I guess. I don't know. So I'm talking about it a lot, but I don't want y'all to think that this is a well done costume, that this is a well done character. The alien is questionable.
It's so weird.
It's bizarre.
It's like he had to have 3.
Well, let's keep going because we'll get there. Okay, so she gets away. So Caroline ends up hiding in a tiny little closet under the stairs, staying perfectly quiet. The alien is searching for Caroline all throughout the home when her cell phone starts to ring again. It takes her 45 minutes to answer it. And when she does, she just starts screeching on the phone to her husband. She's not even trying to be quiet at this point. And so now the alien knows exactly where she is, and he rips the small door off of this closet, pulls Caroline out, kicking and screaming. And as he's dragging Caroline, she is grabbing onto just everything that she can, trying to keep him from pulling her away. And that's when she grabs onto the sheet that is hanging over that picture that John made. And as he's dragging her, she pulls the sheet off, revealing that it is a very large painting of Art the Clown's face, just staring and maniacally smiling. That's when we cut back to Sarah, who is freaked out at this point because the camera really just kind of sits on Art's face, just staring, and it seems like he's staring at her. And so she turns the movie off, and that is the end of the second story. That story was mad silly.
And not silly like a fun silly.
No.
Not like, a fun ghost face
Or silly like how Michael will like put that pumpkin in that fish tank, and you're like, why do you do that? That's so silly.
when Chucky was like, you stupid bitch, you filthy whore, you fucking slut.
Yes, when he cursed out that mother. Yes, those are silly things that just kind of add to the movie. That second story is very not scary. It had the potential to be so much better. I would have rather he not wear that costume. I would have rather if he just been in like the really stereotypical like green alien costume than whatever the hell this was. I'm not trying to shit on the movie as a whole, but the second story left much to be desired. But with that being said, I did think that it was a really cool touch that we all kind of, I think, could have figured that the painting was going to be Art the Clown. But I loved the like getting dragged away and pulling the sheet and revealing it to be Art. I thought that was very cool, a very nice touch. And the painting that they use of Art is actually like the cover art for the movie. It's like that picture of Art the Clown. It looks very similar to the art that we know now. This one is a lot more like Art than like the Magoo art that was in the train part.
Yeah.
So we're back to Sarah, and at this point, she sees something out of the corner of her eye, and then she hears some small footsteps running up the stairs. And to us, it looks like what she sees out of the corner of her eye. It's a very brief shot of the alien from the vignette, and I was like, Why?
Because when you get a 90% off discount on something, you use it as much as you can.
Dante, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. He was like, we're going to ride this costume until the wheels fall off. He's like, just bring it into the real world for God knows why. So, yeah, it's like the shot of the alien, but Sarah believes that it's the kids playing tricks. And so she heads upstairs to confront them, but they are in bed. She scolds them for trying to scare
Bitch, what you gonna do?
Dante, they're like, girl, we don't respect you.
Go so stupid ass down somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, basically, so she's trying to like scold them for scaring her, and she questions Tia like about why she's in Timmy's room, and Timmy's like, bitch,
That's my sister, this is her house. Shut the fuck up.
why are you in here? Tia explains, she's like, well, I was scared because I heard the noise in my closet. Timmy says that happens all the time. So Sarah just kind of brushes it off, and she tells them that they just like need to go to bed. And Timmy's like, well, maybe we could go to bed if you would just stop checking on us every 5 fucking minutes. Now, that is alarming.
That's suspicious.
Very weird, because as we, the audience, know, and as Sarah knows, she's been watching this movie this whole time. This is the absolute first time that she's gone to check on these kids. And she does ask Timmy, she's like, well, what are you talking about? And Timmy says that they keep hearing her outside of the door, and they keep hearing her jiggling the doorknob. I don't know, is it just me? I felt like she didn't get enough clarification here.
What you mean? Everybody up, we gotta go.
Right, Dante, yes!
Gotta go.
I would have been like, don't
go.
fuck with me, okay? Do not fuck with me right now. Did you really hear that? Because if so, get in the car.
We gotta go, because I thought somebody was coming to. You gotta go out here. We gotta go to his house.
Right. Because additionally, this kind of pissed me off. I don't know if you remember when we did the Child's Play episode. In that scene when Maggie was babysitting Andy and she heard the footsteps running and there was like a lot of little stuff going on, and she stormed into Andy's room, and Andy could not be more
Woken up.
yeah, like Maggie, I was sleeping, could not be more in his bed. And she's like, Andy, what are you doing? It's obviously not Andy, right? Like, it's obviously not these kids, because you heard the noise and you quote unquote heard these small footsteps running up the stairs. But do you think they like closed the door that quickly, jumped in the bed that quickly, got under the covers that quickly? You were right behind them. I don't know if we watch too many horror movies, but I'd be like, What do you mean
We
by
gotta
that?
go.
Yeah, like I need you to expound upon that. But yeah, no, she doesn't. Like I guess she finds it a little odd, but she just tells them to go to bed and she leaves the room.
So pranks is not even their thing. They haven't pranked her all night.
They've not done one single prank. They're annoying and they're bratty, but they haven't done anything even remotely like that. So I guess I'm just like, why?
Why are you saying this? You're stupid.
She's kind of stupid. And so now at this point, I guess she's like a little bit spooked out. So she heads to Tia's room where the closet door is ajar and she does hear noise coming from inside the closet. But she stops just short of checking the closet and just kind of laughs off her fears and then heads back downstairs to watch more of that VHS because she's trying to convince herself that she's just like spooked from the scary movie.
I'm checking everything. My flashlight.
Why not check it? You dumb bitch. Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but you're right here. What would be the harm in checking it? Like, she literally got up to it and she was like, "Ugh, girl, stop being so silly." And it's like, girl, stop being so silly when you get confirmation that there's nobody in this fucking house. See, this is Vicky from Halloween 2018 all over again. Bitch, you didn't check this room. There's a fucking 6'9" man in the closet. How dare you say you checked this room? You're lying.
You lied for no reason.
And that's why you're dead. Because had you checked the room,
Because when he came down those stairs, he was like, somebody's in the hallway. Oh, we gotta go.
Dante, and he was like somebody with like a fucked up face, and they're just like, oh, no, I need you to, like, Julian, are you serious right now? Let's get in the car. Don't grab your shoes.
He upstairs, we downstairs.
And this is the thing, because Julian was so fucking real in that movie, and I know that a lot of people don't like Julian. I'm like learning that now, and I think
Why?
I Dante, I do not know, but Julian was in my opinion, one of the most realistic characters in the movie because Julian was like, "I'm getting the fuck out of here," and then remember when Vicky was like, "I'm gonna go check," he was like, "Send Dave."
Cindy.
And then when they were attacked and Vicky was like, "Run, Julian," he was like, "Bye." He wasn't like, "No, I won't leave without you, Vicky."
And Dave was like, I'm going up there, and he was like, you're dead if you go up there.
And he was like, "Well, I'm going to go." And Julian was like, "I'll be at the neighbors. Bye." Like, this was so ridiculous to me that she would walk up to this closet and then not fucking check it when you hear noises.
Dummy.
So she goes back to watching the VHS. So this is the third and final short story. This one starts with a woman driving down an isolated road on Halloween night. I don't know if it's obvious at this point. All of these take place on Halloween night. So that's like the theme here.
Yes.
So as she's driving, she notices that she is, I mean, basically on E. So she has to stop at this desolate gas station in the middle of nowhere. She's trying to get someone's attention when all of a sudden she hears a crashing noise coming from the side of the building. And lo and behold, it is Art the Clown. He is being furiously thrown out of this gas station by the gas station attendant, who is cursing him out, asking him if he's out of his fucking mind. And rightfully so, because as we'll find, I mean, this is textbook
Art the
Art the
Clown.
Clown. Yeah, this is like Art's shit, literally. In true Art fashion, he has pissed everywhere and then smeared shit all over the walls. And Art is so giddy about this. Like, when the guy asked him if he's out of his mind, Art was like, yes, I am. And he raises his white shit covered gloves to really drive home. Like, yes, I did that, and I couldn't be more thrilled about it. So the attendant is not pleased, though, and he tells Art that he's giving him 10 seconds before he calls the cops. And now at this point, Art is pissed, and he's giving him that stare down that, like, if looks could kill, dead as Oren stare down. And then that's when Art notices the woman standing in front of the gas station. And the attendant has to regain his attention and reiterates to him that he really needs to leave. And Art just puts a smile on his face, picks up his extra strength, hefty trash bag.
Quality.
I mean,
Brand name.
utmost. This is not an Equate trash bag.
This is not Up and Under.
No, this is definitely the name brand. They spent a third of the movie budget on Art the Clown's on Art the Clown's trash bags. So he just starts walking down the street with this big ass trash bag as they just kind of stare after him. So then we cut to the attendant pumping the woman's gas as they discuss how disgusting Art was and how lucky Art was that the attendant didn't break his legs and how the attendant is not going to clean up that shit. He doesn't care if he gets fired. And I was like, that is real.
That's so nasty.
That's like, I can't just do that. I can't just like be working the overnight shift pumping gas and now I have to clean up fecal matter. This is a hazmat situation. But through this conversation, that's when we learn that the woman is lost. So she's on her way back to New York. She is leaving a movie shoot where she works as a costume designer. So the attendant offers to draw out some directions for her, and he's telling her exactly how to get back to the interstate when they hear a loud bang come from inside the gas station. The woman is scared, but the man says that he's gonna go inside to check it out. And Dante,
Why?
okay, his portion is whatever. Like, okay, he's a guy that thinks that if he comes back, I have enough blunt objects to like beat him up. Like, okay, sure, do whatever you're gonna do.
Sure, Jan.
I've never heard of a George Glass at our school.
Tropicana? Is he Cuban? No.
Oh, is he cute? Fuck no.
Clan Brady over there.
I mean, Glass. George Glass. He's clear.
He's not just white, y'all.
The boy is clear.
Clear.
So him aside, I'm like, okay, do what you're gonna do, because guys are always gonna do something masculine.
Not this one. I'm always gone.
Dante, we are at home. This shit never happens to us because we're already in the bed.
Working at a gas station at night is a job I would never take.
I would never in my life
work at the gas station at night. I don't even go to the gas station at night.
Nope. The gas station at night is like a nightmare for me. I avoid that at all fucking costs. Dante, first of all, I don't even like driving at night. Y'all, we're senior citizens, so let's be clear on that. But I don't even like driving at night. I don't want to go to a gas station at night. This gas station is the middle of fucking nowhere. This attendant is the only person. I think it's like one pump. It's like very much desolate. He's going inside to check out what this noise is. Okay, if I was this girl though, I'd be like, more power to you. I'm leaving. I don't understand. I was like, am I missing something? Why is she still here? Because he goes inside to check, and then when he doesn't come back after a while, she goes inside to find him. You don't know this man. I'd be like, deuces.
You're a test.
Tess from Barbarian? Yes.
She meet a guy once. He's kind of cute. You give her a little attention. Now she ready to risk her life. When they say risk it all, girl, that's not what they mean.
Dante.
All right? It don't mean like that.
I'm not trying to be mean. This particular story, the third story, I think this might be the one that I can connect to the absolute least, because this girl,
she gonna do some stuff that's so
just absolutely silly, foolish,
bizarre,
very bizarre,
and at times almost suicidal.
Yes. Which, this is kind of like suicidal. This fucking clown was just here. He just left. You hear this bang coming inside. I think it's pretty safe to say what the bang is. But this guy goes in. Girl, this is his job. He's getting paid to be here. If he gets maimed, he'll at least get maimed on the clock. Your stupid ass is still here, and you're going to what? Go search for him so that you can offer some aid? Girl, go home. So she goes in to check on him. She's looking for him. And so she's walking. She hears some noise coming from a room. So she follows it. When she opens the door, she finds Art the clown. He has a saw, and he's on top of the gas station attendant who is already missing his arms. And now Art is in the process of sawing off his head. And he's looks up maniacally smiling at this woman. The scene is extremely bloody. There's extreme close-ups on his severed limbs, severed head, all this sawing. And that is the third on-screen kill.
He's just looking at her and he is chopping that head off like it is nothing. It's so gross.
It's so gross. And that is one thing that we give him props for this in the other two, when we did the two Terrifying movies. Damien Leone, like, at the core of it, is like a practical effects person. He doesn't use any CGI. He did, if you listen to our episode on Terrifier, there are like two spots in the movies that he did use CGI for, and we didn't like them. It didn't fit. It's like Damien Leone it really goes above and beyond when it comes to the practical effects, and he does a good job, I think, in Terrifier. I think he does a phenomenal job, because anybody that hasn't listened to that one, there's that scene where he cuts Dawn in half, like vagina down. It looks really good. I think it looks really authentic. And I think this looks really good. I think that he did a really good job making this look authentic, because he's really sawing this guy's fucking head off. And then when he's done sawing the head, he picks it up and he's looking at it and he's laughing about it. And it all looks really good. I think that this looks really authentic. You know, this is like great practical effects, especially when you think about how floss string budget that this movie is. So I think that practical effects is where Damien Leone like really shines. And so we're getting a lot of close-ups of this like very, very bloody scene. But the woman, she sees this and she ends up running outside, vomiting, which fair, because that was crazy. And then she jumps in her car and she speeds off, as she should. So now at this point, she's hysterical, rightfully so. And she dials what we can only assume is 911 to report the murder and to get help. But the phone is being very strange, is going in and out. And she is doing her best to report this murder. But then she sees in front of her, standing on the side of the road, waving to her and holding a circus sign, is Art the clown.
This fool. This is a fool, y'all. It's too silly.
He's very, very silly. And he's our favorite when he's being silly. He's like, this is the joy of my job. So she sees this and she is shocked. And she's like, what the fuck? She's like, this is impossible. This is impossible. She just keeps saying it over and over again. Which, fair, because she's going like 100 miles per hour away from this gas station. He shouldn't be here.
On a winding road, y'all.
On a winding road. She's tearing it up. And I was like, I don't blame her. So she floors it and speeds past him. Now she's trying to explain to, I guess, the 911 dispatcher that she's being followed, but the phone just really isn't working. And then on top of that, she looks down and she sees that her battery is dying.
Who cares? The car is full of gas.
Girl,
he gave you directions.
Dante, not only did he give you directions, like he gave her the directions verbally how to get back to the interstate. I would hope that once she's on the interstate, she can figure it the fuck out. But he also drew the map first and gave it back to her. Get the fuck out of here. But when she looks back up, she sees that she has now veered into oncoming traffic, and she narrowly avoids a head-on collision with a van. When she swerves, she veers off the road, but just off the road, not into a ditch. She doesn't hit anything. She doesn't fuck up her car. But for some reason, Dante, she just sits there. She just sits there crying, telling herself this can't be real. Girl, Mourn at home.
I don't like her because I was like, just get on the interstate.
Just get on the interstate and go. And I get it. As we go on, it's gonna, Art is doing some crazy. So what he just did is crazy because he shouldn't have been able to be down here. But you don't know what's going on yet. You sitting on the side of the road is a surefire way of dying. You're not even trying anymore. Girl, what the hell are you doing? So I kind of checked out of her story because I was like, she doesn't seem like she wants to live. And I could not relate to her. It reminded me of Tara in the first Terrifier movie. She made, just countless mistakes. But essentially, I think the part where we both like really checked out on this girl is when she was beating Art. And then do you remember she stopped beating him in order to be like, yeah, take that, motherfucker.
Because she watched too much Kill Bill.
And then Art was just like, girl.
That's a movie, bitch.
And he shot her. He was like, I don't have time for this. And he shot her. But then I was like, girl, you deserve that. You had that coming. That kind of made me check out of the story because I was like, now I feel like whatever happens to you after this point is hard to even feel like you didn't deserve it. It's like really, really hard to root for you as the protagonist because you did some dumb shit, like some over the top dumb shit. Now this woman is just sitting on the side of the road. Now I can't even take you seriously.
Because you don't take yourself seriously.
No.
You don't take your life seriously.
No.
You don't take your health seriously.
No. Let's keep going. So, as she's sitting there, of course, Art pops up next to her. Serious as hell. This is not fun-loving Art. This is serious as hell Art. And he starts pulling on her door handles, trying to get her doors open. Thankfully, the one thing that she did that I was like, okay, smart, she had the doors locked. And so she's able to pull off. But as she's driving, she spots a car on the side of the road it's pulled over with the hazards on. And she sees this car and thinks that she will find help here.
Y'all. Oh my God. Why did she get out the car?
Dante, wait. Okay. Dante, this car, like I said, is pulled over, hazards on. She stops, gets out of her car. I hate her, but sorry. She runs up to that car, and it looks like a woman with long blonde hair is like slumped over in the driver's seat with her face like laying flat, like straight on the steering wheel.
She got out of her car and she didn't lock the doors, y'all.
That too. She got out of her car.
Like it was on fire.
Yeah, Dante, I don't even think she like closed her car door. She runs up to this car. This person is obviously fucking in distress.
Dead.
That's what, yeah. Then this bitch is like banging on the window, asking this clearly incapacitated person for help. Like, you have to help me. And so she decides to open this person's car door, and she lifts up the driver off the steering wheel. And the woman's face, who is in this car, face on the steering wheel, it is torn apart.
Y'all ever seen a pizza without cheese?
Dante, that is a excellent, phenomenal way of describing it. That's what the fuck this shit looks like. This looks like fucking chili with no beans. Her face is minced meat. You know when people say like, well, what the hell am I? Chopped liver? That's what this bitch is, okay? Her face is gone. And anybody that's seen Terrifier and, like Terrifier 2, it's like Vicky. What happens to her face? So it's covered in blood. And then, oddly enough, she is also missing both of her hands. Both of her hands have been chopped off.
For no reason. Not for no reason.
Her hands are also gone. She's holding them up. It's insane scene. But she is alive, but barely. But the woman, the costume designer woman, she runs back to her car.
Checks nothing.
She just jumps in the car and starts driving again, begging God for help.
And he is like, you know what?
Girl,
You had a full tank of gas and directions.
I gave you all the help that I'm going to give you tonight. Make it enough.
God's enough with his braids.
He said, girl.
Make it enough.
So she ends up calling a friend and she's asking this friend, can you please call the police for me? She's giving her a location and she's telling him that her phone is going to die at any minute. But her phone dies before she's able to convey all of this information. And that's when Art the Clown, who's obviously been crouched behind the driver's seat, appears. And he is covered in blood, smiling, of course, because gotcha, bitch. And so that's when he pulls a plastic bag over the woman's face, suffocating her, as the woman is still driving. So the car is swerving all over the road. And so she is able to tear the bag open and she ends up slamming on the brakes, which causes Art to fly from the back seat. Like, and he slams into like the glove compartment face first. And I know he was probably like, oh, I. Because you know he like hates when people are like rude to him, like when people disrespect him.
But he is very respectful when you get the upper hand. But he was like, that was just mean spirited.
Exactly. Yes. So he's pissed, obviously, but she is able to jump out of the car and she runs a short distance in nothing amount of time. And then she stops and like leans on a tree. Do you remember that? She stops running.
She's so unlikable.
She's pissing me off from the moment she stepped foot on the screen. I was like, girl, I can't wait for you to die. You were making me angry. I'm sorry. So she stops, and that's when she ends up finding this like, abandoned building where she can hide. So she goes in and she ends up barring the door. So she bars herself in here. Art finds it quickly, obviously, because she traveled nowhere. She ran 16 feet and went into this abandoned barn house. And he tries forcing his way in, but when he can't get in, he stops and she listens to him presumably walk away. So that's when she decides to sit on the floor in this building. It's a dirt floor. And to just, I guess, kind of wait it out. As she's sitting there, just kind of lamenting, we see all of a sudden the ground in front of her, this dirt floor, start to tremble a little bit. Then we see some nasty ass, shit stained ass hands, like just kind of poking up out of the dirt, poking up, just digging a little bit, and then out of nowhere,
That's not dirt on his hands, y'all.
no, the brown on his hands is fecal matter. And so his hands come up. We're watching him. We see him. This man has dug under. He's like, girl, I got nothing but time. If you thought that I was going to let you go, you are sadly mistaken. This man dug cartoon style underneath this fucking barn house. And he's coming up. He's like a gopher. So she picks her head up. She looks, and all of a sudden, Art is like in the room. I mean, he is like whole chest, head, all of that is out of the dirt, and he's staring at her, and he's smiling because he's like, I cannot wait to kill you, girl. And so that's when the woman gets up and she tries to leave, but at this point, it's like she can't get out. She's locked in this building with Art. And so that's when he whips out his homemade cat o' nine tails, which we saw him use in Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2.
He likes that.
This is his weapon of choice. Loves this fucking cat o' nine tails. It's a homemade, so it's become more refined. By the time we get to Terrifier 2, it's a really good looking weapon. But here, it's kind of like old chains and just various things on it. So it's like scissors and scalpels and knives and just a bunch of stuff attached to chains. And so he starts wailing on her. I mean, fucking her up. He grabs her by the arm. It's like a mom beating a badass little kid.
But when he's beating her, y'all, he loves to like laugh. He's
Yes.
making these faces. Like he is tickled. It tickles him.
Tickled pink, but also at the same time not making a single
Sound.
sound. Yeah, so that's something to remember. But when the pieces start falling off of the weapon, he stops to inspect it, and that gives her enough time to grab a scalpel, and she stabs him through the eye. And then she grabs a knife and she stabs him in the back. One time in the back, leaves the knife in his back and walks away. I don't like that.
Samantha Carpenter would never.
Never. Samantha Carpenter is like, I'll cut your head off for fun. She stabbed him in the back, and yeah, he is laying on the ground motionless. She assumes he's dead, but I'm like, girl, that wouldn't even kill me. And I'm extremely out of shape. This is insane. And she just like walks away. Girl, I tried. I'm really trying to root
I
for
didn't.
you.
I just don't like her.
I don't like her either.
She's too helpless for my taste.
I agree. It's a level of helplessness that it's like an over exaggerated helplessness. It's like an unrealistic level of helplessness because you have a full tank of gas in a car that works just fine. It's not even like your car is broken down, but you pulled over on the side of the road at a car that was presumably broken down. It was a car with its hazards on to ask for help. Bitch, what the hell are they going to do for you?
Because wouldn't they be trying to get help?
They're obviously in their own trouble. Leave these people alone.
These people like, you left a working car to come sit in my broke car?
In my broke ass car?
Make it make sense.
Girl, this is a 92 Plymouth. We're not going anywhere in this car. Keep driving. I'm sure that faceless woman probably would have told you the same thing if she could. Girl, you have a full tank of gas. Get the hell out of here.
I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is happening.
She said, God, please help me. God was like, I am running out of patience. I have done everything that I can for you. You need to do something. So she runs to the road. She flags down an oncoming car with a guy inside who does stop to let her in. She is bloodied, obviously, looking crazy. She's just been beat with this cat o' nine tails. He's trying to ask her like a bunch of probing questions like, girl, were you in an accident? And she's like, shut up and drive. So he does keep driving, and once they're on the road, the woman, she's sobbing at this point. She tells the guy about the clown who's been chasing her and trying to kill her. The guy initially thinks it's a Halloween prank, and I was like, y'all deserve each other. I hate you both.
I hate when people immediately assume that somebody's joking.
This woman is so clearly very injured.
Distressed.
What the hell are you talking about right now? What is the prank? What would be the laughing thing? You picked her up off the side of the road. Y'all are driving full speed. At what point is she like, gotcha, just kidding, psych. Can you bring me back to my car? This is crazy.
He's so stupid.
He's dumb. She doesn't answer him. She's just like sobbing. So he realizes that this is serious. So now while all of this is happening, we as the audience get a shot of Art standing up after his attack. He is in fact not dead, obviously. So now in their car, the guy is driving and he's telling the woman he's going to bring her to a police station. There's one very close. He'll get her some help. When all of a sudden a car starts speeding up behind them, honking the horn like crazy. And when the woman looks back, she sees that it's Art in her car. She's trying to warn the guy, like, hey, that's him. Speed the hell up.
And he's so Magoo.
He's so
Magoo, y'all.
He's like, what? Where? Are you sure? Like,
She will curse.
I was like, if you don't fucking drive. But that's when Art pulls up next to them, serious.
And perform a drive-by.
Dante, yes. Then he smiles and Art pulls out a fucking handgun and without hesitation pops this dude in the dome. No hesitation. He shoots this dude. And I was like, damn, this is crazy. It's like Art does all these crazy kills. He's so performative, but when push comes to shove, he will shoot you in the face.
Is his weapon of choice a gun?
I think his weapon of choice is the cat of nine tails, but he's like, sometimes you need to pull out the gat to remind them who's boss. Like, Art keeps that thing on him always. So he's like, if he's ever in a sticky situation, believe he's going to pull out that gun.
He'll throw acid on you.
In 1 minute, he'll be hitting you with a cat of nine tails or with a table leg. And then all of a sudden, if you somehow escape that weapon, wrestle that weapon away from Art, when he's backed into a corner, he gets squirrely as hell. Art uses everything in his power. He might shoot you, or he might throw acid.
Scrape your face off.
Or yeah, he's like,
Scrape your face off. Like,
he's like, I'll kill this bitch with my bare hands.
Art is like, I have to win.
That's it. See, this is my thing. This is why I can't stand people like Tara from Terrifier 1, because when he realizes, and if you guys have never seen Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2, I don't mean to spoil this for you, but we did episodes on them. The movies have been out for a while. Please watch them. But just in case, spoiler alert, if you want to skip ahead 30 seconds, we know that Art can't really be killed. Like, he's supernatural. He's going to come back. And so he's going to fight tooth and fucking shitty claw to win a fight. But if he feels like he's legitimately beat, he does kind of accept that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when Sienna in Terrifier 2, when she's working him over with that sword and she's going to like chop off his head, he knows that he's beat in that moment. And so he just like presented her his neck. He's like, you got that, girl. Do what you gotta do. I'll be back in 2 weeks. But if you are somebody like Tara, because even when Tara was beating the shit out of him, he was on the ground and he was just kind of like gonna accept that. But once she put that fucking 2x4 down and then started yelling at him, he was like, oh,
You're stupid.
you're an idiot. I'm obviously not gonna lay here and die for an idiot. And so he shot her. And so he does what he has to do. And so that's why I'm like, if this bitch in this movie, costume designer, if she started cutting off his head, she probably could have done that, but she didn't. She stabbed him one time in the back, and he's like, girl, let me get my gun.
Was that a steak knife?
Dante, it was a steak knife. It was a steak knife because it came off of the cat of nine tails. He just has random stuff on there. But she stabbed him one time in the back with a steak knife, probably a cheap one. So she stabbed him with a fucking, like, Farberware steak knife and then thought that, oh, I did my job. He's dead? Art was like, absolutely not.
What are we doing here?
What was your goal? So yeah, he shoots this guy in the dome, and that's the 4th on-screen kill. This guy is dead. So Art thinks it's hilarious. He thinks it's the funniest thing ever. He's laughing giddily. And I don't blame him because he's like, girl, y'all are both dummies. This was too easy. And so, because the guy died in the driver's seat, the car veers off the road, slams into a tree. The screen goes black. When the woman wakes up from this accident, she notices that she's in a room with a bright light. So, she's kind of slowly coming to. The light is shining on her. And as she's looking around, she notices that she's surrounded by bloody tools like saws, knives, scissors. There's flies buzzing all over the place. So we, as the audience, are getting a close-up on the woman's face as she's starting to kind of realize where she is. And as she's looking around, she looks over and Art appears at her side, still covered in blood and heartily laughing, having a deep belly laugh in her face, and he's pointing at her. So the woman looks down at herself to see, like, well, what the hell is so funny? And that's when we take stock of all of the injuries that she sustained. So we're kind of seeing them one at a time. So she has the words pig, slut, cunt carved very deeply into her body, so deeply that the tools that he used actually have like flesh and fat hanging from them. So then she starts noticing sutured up amputations. And when the camera finally pans out, we get the full view of this woman. She's totally naked and she's nothing more than a stump. She's armless, legless, boobless, and she's on this makeshift operating table with Art still pointing and laughing at her side. And that is the end of the third story. What did you think of that story?
Okay, so that third story is very similar to Terrifier 1,
Yes.
which I like.
Yes. Which we both like.
We like them, but it's just really silly.
Yes.
It's still silly because she's so unlikable.
Yes.
Because she's not realistic.
Yes.
It was like, because it's a short story, we know you're gonna die, you're terrible, and you just kept making bad after bad decision.
Yeah. In my opinion, I don't know why you ever stopped driving. Like knowing what we as the audience know about Art, maybe it wouldn't have done you any good. Maybe he would have followed you all the way to New York. But girl, I would have had to see. I would be in New York. If he followed me to New York, okay, fair, you win. There was nothing I could do. But girl, I guarantee you I would not stop that car until I was in fucking New York. This man was murdered at a gas station. Baby, you didn't know that man. You didn't know him, and his shift was going to end in an hour anyway, and his relief was coming. They'll find him. They'll call the police. Girl, go home. Full tank of gas with a map in your hand and directions to the interstate. Girl, you could have driven to fucking Canada, fucking Mexico. You could have gone anywhere.
I could not believe she got out that car.
I was floored. Somebody's actively chasing you. The fact that you got out of your car and left the door open makes me hate you. I can't even sympathize with you.
I don't want you to have good things anymore.
I don't want you to have your arms and legs anymore.
Or your titties.
Or those. That was wild. He didn't have to do that.
He's doing fun shit.
Yeah, he was just like, well, might as well. But yeah, I agree. It's very, very, very much like Terrifier 1. And I think, in my opinion, is the best story of the three.
Yes.
Absolutely. Because it does star Art too, so that does have to be said, But it is very much like Terrifier 1, but I think that because it's in like short story form, that maybe it's like too many dumb decisions compacted in too little of a time. At least Tara's was like kind of spread out over like an hour and a half.
Right.
This girl was hard to watch.
Right.
Okay, so let's wrap it up. So we're back with Sarah. So she's thoroughly disgusted at this point, and she tries turning off the VHS, but it won't go off. Instead, a staticky image of Art the Clown appears, and he is sawing at the gas station attendant, only this time, Art is staring directly at Sarah. Or at least that's what it seems. It zooms in very close on Art's face, just staring, maniacally smiling. And then Sarah's finally able to shut the TV off, and she's just kind of staring at this blank screen, wondering what the hell is going on. Just then, the house phone starts to ring, and when she picks it up, a woman is screaming on the other end about how there's been a murder at a gas station and she needs help. It's the old gas station on 94. We as the audience can tell. I have no idea why Sarah cannot tell. It's the exact same call that this woman was trying to make to 911 on the VHS tape. It is to Sarah, apparently. When she hangs up, the TV comes on by itself. First, it's only static with some screams in the background, and then a picture becomes clear. It is in the tunnel from the first short story, and out pops Art the clown, who walks towards her, staring right at her. Once he gets to the actual TV screen, he's right on the other side and he starts banging on it from the inside, trying to break through. So Sarah is obviously scared and she keeps trying to turn off the TV, but that's when it cuts to live footage of her. And she can see on this video of her that she's watching that Art the clown is sitting on the sofa right behind her. When she whips around in the real world to see if he's really there, he's not. The sofa is empty. But every time she looks at the TV, she can see him still there. And at this point, he's standing up and approaching her. Now he's almost to her when she's able to finally get the VHS out of the VCR. She slams it on the ground, breaks it, and it leaves the TV in static. So before she's had time to really process any of this, she hears Tia let out this blood-curdling scream from upstairs. When she's running upstairs to check on them, she is stopped in her tracks when she sees Art the clown standing at the top of the stairs, completely covered in blood, laughing heartily and pointing at her and then pointing at the kids' room. She closes her eyes tight, and when she opens them again, Art is gone. So she runs into the kids' rooms, and inside she finds it is completely covered in blood. And when she looks down, she sees Tia and Timmy's severed heads nestled together in the middle of the bed. So she starts hysterically screaming, and we get shots all around the room of all the blood, the severed body parts, and Art's name scrolled on the wall in the kid's blood. The screen then fades to black and the credits start to roll, but then there's some static before we cut back to Art standing in that tunnel, laughing and waving to us, the audience. He then walks up to the front of the screen before the movie really cuts to black and the credits really start to roll. And that is the end of the movie. So, kill count, there are only 4 on-screen kills. There are obviously more in the movie, like we're not counting Tia and Timmy, but 4 on screen. For the Rotten Tomatoes, there's actually no critic score for this, but I guess just not enough critics have actually reviewed it. But there is a 34% audience score.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. The IMDb score is a 5.2 out of 10 with 13,000 reviews. So, fun facts. So, I do not have a lot of fun facts about this movie.
It was straight to DVD.
Right, it went straight to DVD, so I don't know like what could be expected, but just like a couple of things that I had. So, David Howard Thornton, who is the person that we know now, that we kind of all know and love as Art the Clown, he was Art the Clown in Terrifier 1, 2, and he is Art the Clown in the third movie. But he is not Art the Clown in All Hallows Eve. The Art in this movie is actually played by a man named Mike Gianelli. And he was also Art the Clown in Damien Leone's short films. So in the Terrifier short film and the Ninth Circle short film. So he played Art the Clown a few times. He actually retired from acting prior to the filming of Terrifier 1, so that's why they had to find a replacement. and that's when David Howard Thornton came aboard. I think that he's a great Art the Clown. I think he does a really good job, especially like the silly things that he does, which that's like our favorite thing. Our favorite part about Art is like his silly side, and David Howard Thornton really nails that, especially in Terrifier 1, I think. So the movie that the children and Sarah are watching, it's like we said before, it's George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. And it's so funny because when they were watching it, when the screen would cut to it, I kept thinking like, damn, Damien Leone sprung to have this movie playing.
Silly girl.
I know. Damien Leone doesn't even know the definition of spring. That's what I remembered. And we talked about this. We actually covered Night of the Living Dead in episode 18, which we released on February 16th this year, 2024. So, good episode. I highly recommend it, you guys.
I like that one.
Me too. But I'd totally forgotten that in that when we were talking about this in the fun facts for that movie. So, clips from that movie are actually frequently used in other horror movies because when George A. Romero was putting out that movie, one of the most financially successful horror films ever made, when you compare like budget to box office. I mean, it crushed the box office, but George A. Romero made almost nothing from that movie because he forgot to properly copyright it, meaning that Night of the Living Dead, like upon its release, immediately fell into the public domain. And so now footage from that movie can just freely be used because it was never copywritten. So I thought that was funny. And I was like, oh, you stupid. You forgot that. Damien Leone would never pay money.
Never. Real money?
Absolutely not. So All Hallows Eve, the producer, is a person named Jesse Baggett. They'd seen the Terrifier short on YouTube, which prompted him to consider including it in an anthology film that he was planning on making. And so he wanted that short in addition to some other shorts by other filmmakers. But according to Damien Leone, he said, quote, I wasn't having that. And he talked Jesse Baggett into letting him just shoot the whole thing, to have 3 different vignettes made, written, and directed by him. So Leon said he was totally cool with it and allowed me to write more and use the 2 stories I'd already made to create a whole cohesive film. So we mentioned earlier that the 2 short films that Damien Leone had created prior to All Hallows Eve were The Ninth Circle and Terrifier 1. The Ninth Circle actually serves as the first segment of All Hallows Eve. So that's the whole like Satan sexually assaulting the woman, baby cutting out. That is that short story. And then the Terrifier short story acts as this film's 3rd segment. That's the 3rd vignette. And then the 2nd segment, the alien one, Leone stated, quote, a lot of people ask me why we didn't do another Art the Clown story. And he says that he felt like, quote, if he gave people another 15 or 20 minutes of him killing someone, it would take away from the impact of the 3rd segment, the Terrifier segment. And he really wanted that one to hit hard because he was really trying to invest a lot in Art the Clown, because Damien Leone has said that he didn't feel like we had any really good modern horror icons, and he really wanted to make one, and that was what prompted him to create Art the Clown, which he did a really good job at creating a really unique character.
I agree.
Yeah. And so he really wanted that character to stand out, and he was like, if every vignette had him in it, then it might get like oversaturated. The 2nd short has a lot of flaws. I don't know what I'd rather it be, but I did like the touch of like just having art in it in like a painting form. I thought that was great. So I thought he did a good job with that.
Good.
Damien Leone said that he originally intended for the alien in the second segment to be created using puppetry, but due to time and budget constraints, the alien was instead just portrayed by an actor, so Brandon Despain in a costume. And we've already said how we felt about the costume. I'm not gonna harp on it anymore. No use beating a dead horse, but it wasn't Damien Leone's original choice. That is all I have for the fun facts. So, with all that being said, do you give this anthology film a hit or a miss? I know it's tough.
It is tough because it's you're rating three different movies.
That's true.
So I'm going to give it a hit, not because these visits are good,
Hmm.
but because the wraparound story kept me engaged, and that last scene with Art and Sarah in the TV screen was pretty creepy.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think that if I'm recommending this movie to someone as a hit because it was kind of like unsettling, it was. Was it good? Not really.
Hmm.
Would I watch it again? Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's a hit because I feel that it did hit the marks that it wanted to. So that's my opinion.
I agree 1000%. I feel the exact same way that you do. So it's hard because I kept going back and forth with this and I was watching it and I was like, I'm going to give it a hit, which I do. I'm going to give it a hit. But then I kept being like, this is not good. These are not good. These are not good stories. I just like that alien costume, it was outrageous. Dante, I was like, this can't be real. I mean, it's offensive, disgraceful. But that aside, like the movie overall, it has its flaws. Tons of them. Tons of flaws, glaring ones. But there is something about it that I like. I agree with you. I like the Sarah Tia Timmy storyline. I like the whole thing. I like the setup of it, and I almost feel like the short stories, not that they don't matter, they do matter. They're like the bulk of the movie, but it almost feels like those short stories are like a vehicle to get us to the Sarah,
Yeah.
yeah, the Sarah storyline, like the Sarah kid storyline. And so in my opinion, when I think about the movie, I think about like that is the movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then they're just watching like shitty Halloween movies on a VHS. And so I think that that was like so well done. The scariest parts of the movie were that like Sarah seeing him in the TV screen and he's getting closer and she doesn't know what to do and she breaks it, runs up, sees him at the top of the stairs, finding the kid's dead. Like those were the best parts of the movie. I think Damien Leone did a really good job with that. And then it's like, despite how we feel, because we talked about Terrifier 1, which we both really liked, and then we talked about Terrifier 2, which we both like didn't like nearly as much. Main reason, it was way too fucking long. Way too long. I mean,
Scarface level long. Too
don't even
long.
get me fucking started. Unnecessarily long.
Fairly long movie.
That was a big thing. And, Damien Leone said that the third one isn't going to be as long. So I'm so happy that he heard the feedback because damn. But, we talked about our feelings with that. But one thing that we said, and it's like something that we say about Rob Zombie a lot too, it's like you can say whatever you want. You can like the movies, you can not like the movies, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it's like you cannot say that they're not
Creative.
creative. Yeah, that they don't love their craft, that they are not passionate about what they're doing, that they're not putting in 110%. Damien Leone, I know when he leaves this set has to be a sweaty, stressed out mess because this man is creating so much with so little. He did the same thing with Terrifier. You know, people talk shit about Terrifier because they're like, oh, well, it's just like kind of in one room and everybody's just kind of making these bad decisions in one room. And it's like, you have to acknowledge the budget restrictions. You have to acknowledge the limitations that he's working with, all of these constraints, and yet he's still able to give us something that's watchable.
Mm-hmm.
Something that it's like you will revisit. I respect that so much. Additionally, he's giving us something different. We haven't had a new horror icon in decades prior to Art the Clown. And, you know, we have like Freddy, we have Michael Myers, we have Ghostface. All of these are decades old
Oh,
at this point, you know?
I guess they'll make a case for Victor Crowley.
Yeah. Victor Crowley could be considered one.
He can be considered one. He ain't getting on the Mount Rushmore.
Absolutely not. No. As fun as the Hatchet movies are, Art the Clown, it obviously surpasses Victor Crowley like leaps and bounds. Art is a much more well thought out, well developed character.
Victor Crowley is Jason without the mask.
100%. And I'm not trying to shit on him because I really like the Hatchet movies.
For what they are.
Yeah. Art the Clown, it's like just the creativity of it all. Just the going out on a limb and doing this. And then now he's blowing up, you know, and I think that that's much deserved. Production companies have told him, you know, like, hey, we'll give you money for these movies, but you have to like tone down the gore. And while, you know, that's debatable, Dante's gestures, he's giving the middle finger. I agree. You know, while it's debatable how the general audience feels, you know, I bet that there's some people that might think that it's too gory. There's some people that probably won't watch it, but would watch it if it was less gory. Damien Leone is like, I don't care. I want to stick to what I want to do. And so he's willing to like forego bigger money, bigger budget to keep it authentic to him. Whether you like it or not, I think that you have to respect it. And so I say all that to say, I think All Hallows Eve fits into that. It's not my favorite horror movie. It's not even my favorite Art the Clown horror movie, but I really respect it. I find aspects of it really well done, you know, despite its flaws. And so I am going to give it a hit. And I recommend everybody watch it at least once. You might not love it.
It's short too.
It is short. I think it's like an hour and 22 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it's shot short story style. So each story is very short.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about it. Did you want to tell them about the social media?
Okay. We love to hear from you guys. Please follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook with the handle Did You Get That on Film? You can also email us at didyougetathonfilm@gmail.com. For our Spotify and Apple Podcast listeners, leave us a review as well as a rating. Reviews are the best way to support the podcast and help it reach a further audience.
That sounds great. And that's it for this week. We hope to be back next week with a brand new episode. So until then,
Bye.